Think about the absolute angriest you've ever been at someone. You probably fantasized about ruining their life over a stolen parking spot, a bad breakup, or a petty grievance at work. But the truth is, the whole eye for an eye concept is a myth. When a bruised human ego controls a national treasury or a massive army, the goal shifts from justice to total annihilation. Today, we are looking at 3 historical figures who took personal vengeance entirely too far. We're going to track how retaliation scales up, starting from the surgical ruin of a single family line, all the way to the complete erasure of a sprawling empire. In every case, the original slight is eclipsed by the punishment. Historical revenge is designed to permanently strip an enemy of their capacity to cross you again. We start our escalation in 19th century Paris with a 25-year-old shoemaker named Pierre Picaud. Pierre had just hit the societal jackpot and gotten engaged to a wealthy, beautiful noblewoman named Marguerite. But his broke circle of friends became intensely jealous. Those friends decided to pull a malicious prank, anonymously tipping off the police that Pierre was actually a British spy. Because of that lie, Pierre was thrown into a dark dungeon for 7 years without a single trial. While rotting in that cell, he befriended an old priest who eventually willed him a map to a hidden treasure in Milan.
My dear boy, I have no son of my own, but I have loved you as if you were mine. Take it, live the life I never could.
By the time Napoleon was exiled and Pierre was finally freed, he claims the fortune and returned to Paris. But the dungeon had aged him so severely he looked 50 years old and was completely unrecognizable to the men who betrayed him. Pierre secured a job as a waiter at a cafe owned by Lupien, the ringleader of the prank. Lupien had married Marguerite while Pierre was locked away. Pierre then began a methodical revenge tour. First, his former friend Chaubart was found dead in an alley, stabbed with a knife engraved with a number 1. Soon after, another friend, Solari, was fatally poisoned, with a note pinned to his chest reading 2. Pierre saved the worst for Lupien. He tricked Lupien's daughter into marrying a wanted criminal, and she died of shock when the truth came out. He then framed Lupien's son for robbery, securing him a 20-year prison sentence. Next, he burned down Lupien's cafe, causing Marguerite to die at drafts. Finally, Pierre revealed his true identity to Lupien and stabbed him in the heart with a knife labeled 3. Pierre Picaud proved that applying decades of planning and a vast inheritance to a single grudge can systematically dismantle an entire family tree. Now, we scale up our timeline to the year 945 CE. Prince Igor of the Kievan Rus visited a tribe called the Drevlians to collect protection money. He got greedy and demanded a heavier tribute, so the Drevlians executed him by tying his legs to 2 tightly bent birch trees and letting them snap back, ripping him cleanly in half. The Drevlian prince then had the sheer audacity to propose marriage to Igor's widow, Olga. Instead of immediately declaring war, Olga acted completely calm and accepted the offer to lure them into a false sense of security. When the first batch of Drevlian ambassadors arrived, Olga instructed them to wait in their boat. The next morning, her men picked up the entire vessel and dropped it into a massive trench, burying the men alive. She then requested a second, more distinguished escort. When they arrived, she locked them inside a bathhouse and burned them to death. Still pretending to be open to peace, she traveled to the Drevlians and threw a mourning feast for her late husband. She let the enemy soldiers get drunk on mead, and once they were incapacitated, her stone-cold sober guards slaughtered thousands of them. For her final act, Olga laid siege to their city and offered a simple peace treaty, a tribute of 3 pigeons and 3 sparrows from every house. The Drevlians agreed. Olga then had her men tie burning sulfur to the birds' legs and release them. The birds flew back to their nests, literally napalming the entire city to the ground. Olga weaponized grief and diplomacy. By employing a relentless Trojan horse strategy, she escalated her retaliation from a single murder to the complete eradication of an entire city. Finally, we reach the apex of escalation in the year 1218. Genghis Khan attempted to establish a peaceful trade relationship with the neighboring Khwarezmian Empire by sending a caravan of 450 merchants carrying gold and goods. The local governor of Otrar seized the goods and executed the entire caravan out of greed. Genghis tried to remain diplomatic and sent envoys directly to the Shah. The Shah responded by killing the lead Muslim diplomat and shaving the beards of the Mongolian envoys, the ultimate form of cultural disrespect. Genghis Khan took this deeply personally. He raised an army of 200,000 men and marched them directly toward the offending empire. When the Mongol forces captured the greedy governor responsible for the initial slaughter, Genghis delivered a brutally ironic punishment. He had his men pour molten silver directly into the governor's eyes and ears. This chart shows the scale of the resulting slaughter. The total death toll reached an estimated 15 million people. Genghis Khan wiped out a population larger than modern-day New York City, Los Angeles, and Chicago combined. At the highest levels of power, a diplomatic slight triggers a coordinated demographic erasure. Whether the inciting spark is a shaved beard, a greedy demand for tribute, or a jealous prank between friends, historical vengeance is defined by its wildly disproportionate response. But there is often a personal cost to these vendettas. Immediately after executing his master plan and ruining his betrayers, Pierre Picaud was kidnapped by a random bystander and beaten to death for his remaining fortune. While personal vendettas like Pierre's can end in ruin for the avenger, figures like Olga of Kyiv and Genghis Khan built their historical legends on the absolute destruction of their enemies. Let us know which of these revenges went the hardest in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.